do not fear death. I had been dead for billions and billions of years before I was born, and had not suffered the slightest inconvenience from it. Where were you before you were born? I think it is reasonable to assume that the state before you were born is the same state as after you die. What was before me will happen again after me. This human experience feels individual. We tend not to regard our substance of life in singular form. A distinction is made from one human life to the next, based on the outer shell. Each vessel is seen as a separate manifestation and loses the sense of oneness we may share as a whole. We take note of the particular characteristics of the vessel when the vessel is merely the container holding the one ingredient. We weep for one death and celebrate another's as if they were different entities. The way in which we see lives as separate is perhaps illusory. We are all threads of the same rope, and what created us lives inside of us. The powers of creation are held in those things which are created, like Father, like Son. Without black there could be no white, without death there could be no life, and without a you there would be no I. Without a cause for comparison there is no cause for distinction, and without any distinction there would be nothing to perceive. All polarities are but two sides of the one, the plus and the minus, the two sides of the same coin. A snapshot of your existence 7 years before, and there exists a being not of the same molecules of your current state, not of entirely the same experiences, and not in the same frame of time. Is this you that existed at that past time the same you that exists now? We see ourselves as individuals, as that is how we appear to be, as spirited beings, each carrying out our own individual consciousness that is separate from the next. But also singular objects, when magnified close enough, become vast empty spaces, dotted with sparsely placed individual atoms, appearing not to be a part of a whole at all, but as a system of separate entities interacting. How would you see your whole body from the perspective of one of your cells? Is your cell its own individual entity, independent of who you are? Or is it essentially you, inseparable from the body? Your cells are dying all the time. New cells are being created. Yet you live on. Your consciousness remains intact. You are aware that your consciousness cannot be destroyed by the death of a single cell. And at the same time, are you not aware that your individual consciousness is perhaps only a fraction of the overall consciousness of life, the overall consciousness of you? Much like the cells in your body, the humans in this world are going through a constant process of birth and death. And although we may experience this loss on an individual level, essentially the overall human consciousness continues. Why do we see our body from the perspective of one, and not from the billions of cells that form it, yet at the same time see our human existence from the perspective of one person, and not the perspective of all humanity?